George Joseph Smith. George Joseph Smith, one of Britain's most notorious early 20th century criminals, earned his infamy through what came to be known as the Brides in the Bath murders. Born on January 11, 1872, in Bethnal Green, London, Smith led a life of deception, crime, and ultimately, murder. He was a man who preyed on vulnerable women, charming them into marriage before carrying out his deadly schemes. Early life and criminal beginnings. Smith's early life was marked by a series of petty crimes and short stints in prison. He was a cunning and manipulative man, using his charm to con women out of their money. Smith would court women, propose marriage, and once they were wed, he would systematically drain their bank accounts and steal their possessions before disappearing. This pattern of behavior escalated over time, culminating in his most heinous acts, the murders of his wives. The Brides in the Bath murders. Between 1912 and 1914, George Joseph Smith married three women, Bessie Mundy, Alice Burnham, and Margaret Lofty, each of whom mysteriously died in the bath shortly after their marriages. Smith would ensure that his brides had written wills in his favor, securing financial gain upon their deaths. The cause of death in each case was initially ruled as accidental drowning, with doctors perplexed by how the women could have drowned in such shallow water. However, suspicions were aroused after the death of Margaret Lofty, the third victim. Her death followed the same pattern as the previous two, prompting an investigation by the authorities. A detective named Inspector Arthur Neal began to connect the dots between the three cases, noticing the similarities in the circumstances surrounding the deaths. It became clear that these were not accidents but calculated murders. Smith's method was both simple and effective. He would draw a bath for his new bride and then, while she was bathing, he would suddenly and forcefully push her head underwater. The shock and suddenness of the attack would cause the victim to reflexively gulp water, leading to a quick drowning. Smith's knowledge of the physiological responses to drowning allowed him to carry out these murders with minimal struggle from his victims. Capture and trial. George Joseph Smith was arrested in 1915, after the bodies of his three wives were exhumed and examined. The investigation revealed that each woman had died in an identical manner, pointing to a clear pattern of murder. The trial that followed was a sensation, with the public and media captivated by the cold-blooded nature of Smith's crimes. During the trial, the prosecution demonstrated the feasibility of Smith's method by conducting a reenactment in court, using a model in a bath to show how easily a person could be drowned in the manner Smith employed. This demonstration was pivotal in securing his conviction. On July 1, 1915, George Joseph Smith was found guilty of the murders of Bessie Mundy, Alice Burnham, and Margaret Lofty. He was sentenced to death and hanged at Maidstone Prison on August 13, 1915. His case is often cited as a landmark in forensic science, as it was one of the first to use psychological profiling and detailed forensic evidence to secure a conviction. Legacy. The Brides in the Bath case remains one of the most infamous in British legal history. George Joseph Smith's ability to manipulate and murder without remorse shocked the nation and highlighted the importance of forensic science in criminal investigations. His story has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and dramatizations, serving as a grim reminder of the dangers posed by those who exploit trust for sinister purposes. Smith's crimes are a chilling example of how charm and manipulation can mask the darkest of intentions, and his legacy endures as a case study in both the annals of criminal psychology and the evolution of forensic investigation techniques.